That means
It is recording.
it's recording.
Yes.
Okay.
So we're now on camera.
Okay. Thanks.
Hi,
Hi.
my name is Kelly Martin Veggie.
Hi.
It's nice to meet you.
Yeah, I'm John.
John. Okay,
Yeah.
you prefer to be called
Yeah.
John?
Yeah, John
Okay.
works.
Okay, great. And you found our facility okay?
No, it took
Oh.
it took forever.
It did.
Way down here in the dungeon.
Yes.
So yeah, I found it. I asked a few people and worked out okay. But yeah, I didn't expect to be down so far underground.
Yeah. Well, I'm glad you made it.
Yeah.
And so we'll just talk a little bit about what we'll do together for about the next 45 minutes, 45 minutes. I am also a registered nurse, and so I come to this with just here to help in whatever way that you need, and we'll get to know each other a little bit. And if there's any questions that you prefer not to answer, it's absolutely okay. We'll just get to know each other a little bit. And do you have any questions before we start?
No. No.
Okay. So I'm going to have a piece of paper, and I may write just a little bit, but that might be just some very quick notes.
Okay.
Is that okay with you?
Yeah, I wish I had a photographic memory, but I don't. So I understand about taking notes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you. John, what brings you in today?
Well, I don't know. I've been feeling a little tired lately, and maybe a little bit sad, and I'm not really sure why. And it seems like I'm spending a lot of time, by myself, and stuff I normally like to do, I just, can't seem to get up the energy for now. And it's not, it's not like I'm suicidal or anything. It's just, I get kind of these bad moods. Can't always seem to get out of them. So.
And am I the first person you've been talking to about this, or have you spoken or seen anybody else beforehand?
And nobody, in a professional capacity.
Okay. Who do you normally talk with in your life when you're experiencing some?
Well, I've got one pretty good friend. I've talked to on the phone every once in a while. We email occasionally. So yeah, he knows a little bit sort of about what's going on.
Okay. And has that been a new experience, or how long have you been feeling a little more sad than usual?
It's been a few months, I
Few
guess. Probably started feeling this way in February, early February.
Okay, of 2015, of this year?
Yeah.
Okay. Okay. And do you mind if I ask how old you are?
I'm 58.
58?
Yeah.
Okay. And do you live nearby, near the University District?
I've got a place on Capitol Hill,
Okay.
so not too far away.
Okay. Did you drive down or public transportation on the way in?
Well, I walked down.
Oh, you walked down?
Yeah.
Oh, great.
Yeah, so I think that was kind of stupid. It's a little further than I thought.
Further than you expected.
Yeah, so I think I'll take a bus back, but yeah.
Okay. Is that something you normally like to do, is to walk where and if you can?
Well, I haven't been getting out much, but yeah, I like to walk, and so I kind of chose Capitol Hill partly for that reason, because most of what I need I can walk to.
Yeah. How long have you lived up on Capitol Hill?
Just since the first of the year.
Okay.
Beginning of the year, yeah.
Okay. And was that in February when you moved, or did you move
January.
in January?
Yeah.
Okay. Okay. And did you also live before that in the city of Seattle? Oh, where did you move from?
No. I live back east,
Okay.
upstate New York.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
And so in January of this year, you moved across the country.
Yeah.
Yeah. What precipitated the move? What?
Well, I had never lived in a city before.
Mm-hmm.
Though I've traveled some and so on, but I came to Seattle just traveling a long time ago, years and years ago, and I kind of was impressed, and
Mm-hmm.
I thought if I ever decide to do the city experience, then maybe I'd move to Seattle.
Mm-hmm.
And so stuff kind of came together that this looked like a good time to make a big move, so I decided to do it.
Well, this is a big move, coast to coast. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Did anybody move with you?
No.
No, just by yourself.
me. Yeah.
And do you have friends or family in the area?
No.
No.
No, I moved here not knowing anybody.
Did you come out for employment too, or are you working right now?
I'm not. I'm not done working. It's not going to be too long before I retire, but I hadn't really planned on retiring completely yet.
Mm-hmm. And out on the East Coast, where did you say it was that you moved from?
Upstate New York.
Upstate New York?
Yeah.
Okay. Is that where you grew up?
Yeah, town called Plattsburgh,
Okay.
real close to the Vermont border.
Oh. Sounds like a lot of trees, probably.
Oh,
around.
yes. Yeah, it's all trees.
Yeah. Was there anything that occurred that sparked the move, or was it just was there a change in what was going on for you in upstate New York?
Yeah, I kind of finished this work project that took quite a while, and so when that finished, then it kind of I've been thinking about this, of course, my whole adult life. It was right after I got out of school that I traveled here the first time. So I've been thinking about this for a long time, and part of it was just I know, not getting any younger, and if I didn't make a big move like this now, I thought maybe I never would. And So I finished this project and thought, well, I don't need to start any new projects. I'll just take this time to give this a try.
And what were you doing for work in New York?
Carpentry. Yeah, I've been doing carpentry most of my adult life.
And did you, are you married or were you married?
Very briefly. I know it fools people with the ring, but it was kind of a special ring, so I kept wearing it. But we were just married briefly quite a while ago.
Quite a while ago?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And are you still in touch with her?
No.
No.
Okay. She lives in. She's German. She moved back to Germany after we got married.
And how long were you guys married for?
Just a year.
Just 1 year.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And when was that exactly?
That was 1985.
Okay. And any other family in New York that is still living there?
Yeah, my folks are still around. I've got a brother who lives in the city, New York City. But yeah, my folks are still there.
Are they living independently in their home, or?
Yeah, they're they're both getting up there, but they're hanging on. They're doing okay.
And how are you doing with making the move and being across country from them?
Well, that's all right. We're not that close.
Okay.
So that wasn't really not really a reason to stay or go. My relationship with them. So yeah, that's not really significant that I'm away from them.
And are they your biological parents?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And then you just have the one brother?
Yeah.
Were there any other children or?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
No, just the two of us.
And were you close with your brother?
Um,
Or are you?
No, we're pretty different. So it's not like we're estranged, but we don't communicate that much. I talked to him once since I moved, but usually it's once or twice a year or something like that. We'll either meet up for something or just talk on the phone, but we don't really have much to do with each other.
Okay. And growing up, did you all live in the same house? Yeah. And are there any reflections on your childhood you'd like to share, or?
Well, I don't know. Just I guess I've felt a little bit it's felt a little bit similar lately, kind of like it did when I was a kid. Not really knowing anybody here, and when I was a kid, I knew people, but I didn't really have close friends in school. So I spent a lot of time alone, then also.
And so you mentioned that you've noticed some similar feelings arise from when you were in your youth as well. Was that also periods of sadness specifically that you would describe them as sadness?
Well, yeah, I guess I wasn't. I guess you wouldn't call me a generally happy kid. Yeah, so guess, I was happy to kind of grow up and get out on my own, and things, were going pretty well, for me for the majority of my adult life.
Sounds like there's a part of you that may prefer a little alone time. Is there a way that you do connect into the community other than sort of work? Or I know you mentioned the friend that you communicate through email. Is there anything you were involved with in New York or upstate New York? Are you sort of missing being in a new city that?
Well, I mean, I've never been like a club joining sort of person. So you're right about, me spending time alone. That's something I'm used to and that I'm fine with generally. But even for me, what's happening now is a little extreme, especially considering that I'm surrounded by hundreds of thousands of people, and I know that that's not anything exceptional, but I know it's part of the reason I came in. I know this probably isn't this amount of isolation is maybe not even healthy for me.
And up on Capitol Hill, do you live in an apartment or what? Okay.
Yeah, it's a co-op apartment.
Okay.
This woman who owns the apartment went to, I don't know, it sounds like you might be familiar with co-op.
Well, in terms of a house, I guess I've known of houses that have different bedrooms sort of made into apartments, and then maybe everybody shares the same floor bathroom and then communal kitchen. Is it something like that?
Yeah, this is a little different. It's an older apartment building, but a co-op apartment, it's kind of a legal definition. It's different from a condominium.
Oh, okay.
But people, pretty much it's like a condominium. The co-op is different from what I understand because legally people own shares in the building. They don't actually own their individual units.
Oh, okay.
But it's different from a condo in another way in that they have, the owners kind of run the building rather than hiring a management service to do it. And so people who live there are expected to be on the board at least some of the time, and they approve people who move in and who buy in. So the woman who owns, and again she doesn't legally own it, but who owns my apartment, they allow people to rent their apartments for 2 years at the most, and she decided to go to Mexico for a year, and so I'm renting her apartment while she's gone. But almost everybody else there is an owner, of the building.
Okay. And how are you enjoying it there?
The people I've met are mostly nice, and there's some people my age there. Lots of younger people. It's okay. It's kind of a neat old building. Some nice, nice features, nice woodwork and stuff. And it's a pretty building and in a nice location. So, parts of it are pretty nice.
Mm-hmm. Sounds like you have an eye for the construction, the integrity of the construction as coming from
the
being
town
a builder yourself.
Yeah, and the town that I'm from doesn't have a lot of larger buildings, and this one isn't enormous. It's 26 units, I think, but it would be a big building back home.
Mm-hmm.
So, but yeah, I kind of pay attention to that sort of stuff.
Mm-hmm. So, when did the sadness start for you? The sort of increase of sadness that you've been experiencing? You mentioned it started in February. Was it a specific, following a specific event, or did it just come on gradually?
No, it just kind of gradual. You know, it seems like I was okay, you know, feeling fine for the first month I was here, you know, for January, and then February just started to, you know, kind of edge towards the kind of funk that I'm in now.
And is that something that you experience every day? Is it every day or
Oh yeah.
less often? Okay.
Yeah, it's. I mean, there are some days I'm a little perkier than others, but I don't think there have been any days that I really felt like myself.
Since February?
Yeah.
And as far as, can you describe what would be sort of a normal weekday for you, what your day looks like? What activities that you do, or how does your day unfold for you usually if it was, say, on a weekday?
Well, I'm not doing much of anything.
Okay.
So you know, sometimes I'll get up real early. You know, other times I'll just lay in bed until really late. And you know, I get the newspaper. I usually read the newspaper and have some coffee. And you know, if there's anything I have to do, I'll go out and do it. You know, it's not like you know, like I never leave the apartment and am starving or anything like that. But there are a lot of days I don't even get dressed. You know, I'm just wearing my, you know, sweats and stuff because I don't leave the apartment. And I've never been a nap taker. You know, I sleep a lot during the day now, and you know, I'll sit at the computer and, you know, waste all sorts of time just playing solitaire or whatever, you know. So I'm, you know, my days don't look like much.
And if you did have things scheduled, what types of things have you gotten out to do?
Oh, well, I don't, you know, there's nothing real scheduled. It's just if I need to, you know, go get groceries, or, you know, go to the post office, or sometimes I'll pick up movies, you know, videos at the library and bring them home and watch them. So, you know, that's the sort of stuff. If I need to go, you know, to the drugstore, you know, if I'm out of dental floss or something, you know, I do the stuff I need to do. But, you know, I'm not doing much.
It sounds like during the day there's some effect on, you know, the sadness having effect on the daytime. Does it continue through the nighttime? Does it come and go throughout the day?
No, it's, I'd say, you know, it's mostly steady, you know, throughout the day. If I, you know, not feeling too perky, that's pretty much the way it stays all day.
And you mentioned sleeping in. How's your sleeping through the night?
I don't really get a good night's sleep, you know, much anymore. Sometimes I'll stay up really late, whatever, staring at the TV or the computer. Other times I'll go to bed really early, and but a lot of the time I have a really hard time getting to sleep. Other times I go to sleep a little bit earlier, but, you know, I wake up in the middle of the night. I'm awake for several hours. So it's just, you know, there's no real consistent pattern, and the only thing that's really consistent is that I rarely get what I'd call a good night's sleep.
And are you on any medications right now?
No.
No medications, okay. And have you ever been on a medication for sleep before?
No, I've never really needed it. I usually at home I've never had a real problem with getting a good night's sleep. That hasn't been an issue for me.
Okay, just since you moved out here.
Yeah.
And how has the rest of your health been? Your general physical health?
Well, I don't feel real great. I just feel kind of achy all over. I'm putting on weight. I've never, I've always stayed in pretty good shape, and now I don't weigh myself, but I bet I've put on 10 or 15 pounds since I moved. So, I'm not feeling particularly healthy, but there's nothing. I don't have any specific complaints. I just don't feel very good.
Okay. And for any time you were ever sad in the past, your youth or beyond, in between then and now, were you ever on any medication for sadness or any other concern? Okay.
No.
Okay. And did you move out here with a car? Did you come with a car?
Yeah. Yeah. I've got a car.
Okay. And have you explored the city much at all yet, or?
Well, in January I did quite a bit of that. I did some exploring while I was looking for a place to rent. And then after I got pretty much settled in, then I went out a few times and did, where I just hop on a bus and not pay attention to where I was going, just ride.
Bus tour.
To look at stuff, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, cheap bus tour.
Mm-hmm.
So I've seen, quite a few different parts of the city, but I haven't done much of that since January.
And I know you mentioned the landlord was out of town to Mexico, and that was just for 2 months, is it?
For a year.
Oh, for 1 year. Okay, so you have your current place that you're in for a year.
Yeah, it's a year lease, and it's something that I can get out of, without a huge penalty. But yeah, I've got a year lease.
And have you looked for any carpentry work since you've been out in Seattle? Is that?
No,
how's that gone for you?
I'm kind of sick of doing that.
Mm-hmm.
And it's still not completely out of the question because, I need to work more, but I'd kind of like to do something different. But I haven't really felt like looking for work, and haven't really felt like if somebody just came up and offered me a job, I don't know that I'd take it.
A carpentry position?
No, anything, even something
anything.
that I wanted. I don't sure that I feel like I could, like I would be a very good employee right now. I think I need to start feeling a little better before I can, perform like I want to, no matter what the job was. I want to do a good job, and I don't feel like I'm up for it now.
What has helped you before when you had periods of sadness? Was there anything that helped you in the past that you found to help you through it?
There was only one time where, you know, I feel like I was even close to feeling like this, and I think it just, you know, took some time, and I was young, you know, things probably, like I suppose here, everything maybe heals a little bit quicker when you're young. I don't know if that's true, but maybe that's what happened. So nothing that I can put my finger on that helped me out, you know, back then, other than just waiting it out.
And did you ever spend any time in a facility for any depression or sadness before?
Oh, no.
Okay.
No, it's never been. You know, like I said, I wasn't a happy kid, but there was, you know, it's never been something that, like I said, I've seen anybody. Well, I mean, this is the first time in my entire life that I've seen, you know, a counselor, social worker type person. So yeah, I've never been treated for any mental issues.
And I'm glad you're here, given it's, you know, taken maybe you by a little surprise that it sounds like it's continued on for a while and it's got your attention. Are there any goals that you have for us together? Is there anything specific you would like help with?
I just want to feel like me again. You know, I'm pretty tired of this, and you know, I've always felt like I was productive. You know, I was doing something that, you know, it's not like being a nurse. I've got enormous respect for what you do, but I was helping people fix and build their homes, and you know, that was something that I felt good about and felt productive. And now I'm not doing anything, and I'm still, you know, I'm not a young person, but I'm still perfectly capable of working, and that's what I ought to be doing. And I don't know, this doesn't make sense to me. People, many people, you know, dream about being in the position I'm in. You know, making a move, doing something they've always wanted to do, and I don't really have anything to complain about, and I ought to be feeling fine. And so this just doesn't make sense to me, and I want to stop being like this. But
a lot of people also who do make big moves like that, you know, do take transition time as well. So I just offer that to let you know it's very, very common to have moving as considered one of, you know, a pretty stressful event, even though it can also be happy and, you know, and prosperous. It also can hold a lot of stress with it. Is there, are you fully moved? Do you have all your things out here?
oh yeah,
Okay.
yeah. I sold my house and most of my stuff back home, and didn't really keep very much. So I rented actually a pretty small U-Haul van and towed my car with it, but everything I own now fit easily into that van and into my car. So yeah, everything's here that I own now.
Did you move with any pets? Any animals?
No, pets didn't work out very well for me back home. So I lived out in the woods, and I'm not into keeping them indoors or chained up or anything. I've had both cats and dogs, and the dogs would disappear, and the cats, the problem with them is that they are just little murderers. I lived out in the woods, and they would kill everything
Hunters.
smaller than them. Yes.
Yeah. Were you yourself a hunter at all?
No.
Okay.
No, I've not a hunter, but I had little house I built myself out in the woods. I had 12 acres out there. It was pretty remote, solar powered and all that. So there were a lot of critters around, and the last pair of cats that I had, it was a daily thing that I had a cat door for them because I wanted them to be able to go in and out. And every single day there'd be poor dead and dying critters and I fed the cats. They were, like you say, they're hunters. That's just what they do. But I didn't feel good about the effect they were having on the neighborhood. So I stopped having pets. And the dogs, like I say, they would just disappear. That just didn't work out. So I haven't had pets for years. And then I don't want to, have anything that has to be cooped up in an apartment.
Mm-hmm.
So
It's a big change to go from a lot of land and home and space to call your own, and then to come to uniquely, this cooperative living. Which, is there a yard to the
not
space?
really. There's a courtyard. It's not a place to hang out.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it looks like a place that they probably used to be a fountain there, and there isn't anymore. And then in the back, there's a patio that they said, every summer there's a cocktail party or two out there, but it's not a big space. And as far as gardening goes, there are a few people who have little garden boxes, raised beds back there, but nothing much. So yeah, it's not great for outdoorsy type stuff.
Mm-hmm. And do you do social drinking at all if you were to go to an event?
Yeah, that's something that's kind of yes, I do. What I was just thinking about when you mentioned drinking is that that's been kind of a change too, because I like to have come home from work and I'd have a martini or two, a beer or two. That's just something that I've always enjoyed. But these last few months, I don't feel like it, so I haven't been, for the first time in my adult life, I've hardly been drinking at all.
And when you stop drinking, do you have any sort of physical effects from that? Or
Oh, no.
Okay.
No, and the alcohol is never, I've been a regular drinker, but it's never been a problem for me.
Okay.
So, no, there's, no withdrawal symptoms or anything. It's not like that at all.
It sounds like, again, it was something that you had enjoyed doing, but it's sort of got your attention that even that is something you haven't
Yeah.
been enjoying as much.
Yeah, you'd think, somebody is feeling like I do, like, that's what you always hear about. If somebody's, depressed, then they drink. And I'm finding just the opposite. I don't feel like drinking. So I don't know, maybe it was, it was always kind of a happy thing for me to come home from work and take a shower, sit down and read and relax with a drink. It was, a nice part of the day, and now there isn't really any nice part of the day now.
And you mentioned when we first started talking that you weren't feeling suicidal.
Right.
Okay, so have you had in the last, and I'll just sort of revisit that a little more. Thank you for sharing that, but just to revisit it a little more, in the last few days or even week, have you had any thoughts about ending your lives?
No.
Many people who get this sad sometimes have that cross their minds.
No, I guess the only way that I've thought about it was just, like I said, I haven't been feeling very good. And part of that I know is because I've been eating like crap and I haven't been sleeping well. But the only thing even close to that, and this isn't suicidal at all, it's just, I think, well, what if there is something physically wrong? What if I've got cancer or something and, I die? And I think that concerns me less now than it would when I was feeling good. But that's not, even close to. I'm not gonna, take my own life. That's not something that I feel like I'm, even close to. Yeah.
In the past, when you've gotten so sad, has that ever been a concern for you?
I don't remember for sure. When I was a kid and I was pretty bummed out there for a while. I don't know. I might have. I remember. I hadn't thought about that for a long time, but they have these rock quarries there, and so there are cliffs, and every kid gets warned to stay away from them. Though when you're a little bit older, they make good swimming holes. But I do remember now going out there and thinking about stuff and thinking about jumping off the part that wouldn't be into the water. But I never came close to doing it. But yeah, I did think about that when I was little. But I don't know. I imagine everybody, thinks about stuff like that occasionally.
Well, I'm glad you shared that with me, and it helps me just understand the depth of sometimes your experience of sadness. And I just offer that it may be something that if we meet again, I would check in with you about. I'm going to always have a concern for, your well-being, and just please feel free to always share with me if you're ever having thoughts that sort of get that deep and that sorrowful, that concern you, that you would have thoughts of ending your life. And again, it sounds, that was a really big move that you made across the country, and it was very recent. I'm really glad that even just 2 months into the sadness that you felt, that you've reached out, and that we had a chance to talk and explore that a little bit today. And I think it speaks to your goal of making a change there, so you can, what sounds like, get back to what you feel is normal for you and enjoyment for you. Is there anything before this was just sort of an introductory session for us. And is there anything else you'd like to cover today with me or let me know for you?
No,
How you're doing?
I can't really think of anything. I say this is all kind of new to me, but I appreciate your listening to me. I know this is a lot longer than I've talked to anybody since I moved here, so you set a record with me. So thanks.
Well, I look forward to talking with you more next time if you'd like to come back. I'd love to continue the conversation as well.
Yeah, okay. Okay, thank you.
And so do you know how to take which bus stop you'll need to get back to Capitol Hill?
Yeah, I did look it up before. I know I can get the 43 over here.
Okay,
They'll get
great.
me up there.
Great.
So yeah, I'm all set.
That'd be a long uphill back.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I don't want to do that tonight. So, okay, thank you.
Okay. Thank you so much.
Okay.
Take care. I guess we just have 2 minutes left. Maybe I'll just ask you. They said we could ask for a little bit of feedback if we afterwards.
Yeah.
So we'll just sort of call it good and done.
Yeah.
That was so. I'm a nurse and I'm coming into social work, and
Yeah.
so it's really it's just a new. I'm very used to shorter amounts of time.
Yeah.
Having little blocks of time and having it very specific to health. How somebody's doing physically. So it was a really unique experience for me to sort of just explore the more conversation of it, yet still obtain what might be helpful. I don't know. What was it like for you?
Well, I'm wondering. So it was kind of a novel experience for you for all
Yeah.
the reasons that you mentioned. How do you feel like it went?
I feel like as far as rapport building, it was probably a good place to start. I'd be super curious about the childhood. I think there's, especially maybe, there's some estrangedness from the family, but it's not like you can dive into that, right? Like right away, or time just goes quickly, even if it's 45 minutes, where ideally, the client, you would have come back and that would have continued to be explored.
Yeah.
Just further finding out who the friend was, the brief marriage, the still wearing the ring, so I think there's a lot. Yeah, it was a good learning experience for me because it's just been totally different for me, even,
Yeah.
Yeah. So.
Well, good. Well, you, the first impressions, it's true what they say about first impressions, and just the way you enter the room. I'm judging you actually before you even enter the room.
Yeah.
When I hear that knock, I'm paying attention to how somebody knocks on the door, and
Yeah.
I'm deciding if somebody's banging on the door, and I expect, the big, tough, loud guy.
Yeah.
And if somebody has this gentle knock, then then I kind of perk up because I think,
Yeah.
this is
So disarming a little bit.
Maybe, yeah.
Yeah.
And then you entered, and you had me right away, even
Okay.
before you mentioned you were a nurse. And then, like I say, that bumped your
Which I don't even really know
credits
where
up with
or
me.
why I said that.
Yeah.
It's just I'm not really sure how to refer to myself. I'm a social work student. I just didn't know how to introduce myself, and that's my
Yeah.
default.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
What people normally do would be just to mention that you're a social work student.
Yeah. Okay. See, I'm
But-
merging these worlds.
Yeah, but that worked really well for me.
Yeah.
And part of it is, for a lot of reasons. Like I say, I have so much respect for anybody in the medical profession, and particularly nurses. So, that gained you something with me. It may not with other people.
Yeah.
And though I don't think it's really going to hurt. And that's
Yeah.
something that I kind of wonder how you feel about revealing a little bit of yourself to your client.
Yeah. Yeah, that'll be interesting because I think I just haven't owned my social work. It's so ingrained in me that I'm a nurse, and even if I was to be sitting in this situation, it still feels like that's my professional context.
Yeah.
And so introducing myself as a social work student, it didn't flow out. It didn't flow out at all.
Yeah.
So that's something to take note of. And, but again, there's just a whole host of differences I'm realizing as I combine the RN, MSW, and sort of how, what a slow process of merging that's really going to be if I, because, I go into default mode.
Well, back to more of your entrance than just really friendly entrance, and you had your eye right on me, and a firm, warm handshake, and it doesn't have to be a hard handshake, but it was clear that it was a meaningful handshake, and that worked for me really well. So you had me comfortable within seconds of entering the room. So that's really important to me, how somebody comes right in. And you kept me comfortable, throughout the whole thing. The part of the reason that I bring up revealing something about yourself is that some people feel like, particularly in a counseling situation, that you don't do that.
Yeah.
You listen and you get them to talk. But you don't reveal anything about yourself. And the only thing I learned about you during the whole thing that I can think of right now was that you're an RN. And I would encourage you, from my perspective, if there are times when you can reveal a little bit about yourself, that can really up your already good rapport.
Okay.
And something like when I mentioned upstate New York, then it didn't sound like you were familiar. And that's kind of something that I start looking for signs that maybe somebody knows something about that. But had you known something about upstate New York, then that would really help your rapport if you say, oh, I've spent time there and I love it.
Yeah.
Or something to that effect, something innocuous. If we talk about, hobbies, what sorts of things did you used to do for fun? Yeah. If I mentioned bicycling and you're a bicycler, then that sort of thing. I'm just going to open the door so they know that.
Of course.
But stay right here, though. We can keep talking. They'll just turn off the camera. So that's just one thing that you can think about adding. It's certainly not necessary at all. But, I felt like there was no judgment there at all. And when you came in, your entrance was so good. And then when you said that you were an RN, then I said, she's going to be good.
I don't know.
And I was right. So
I think the nursing, I've walked into a lot of hard rooms.
Oh, yeah.
a lot of rooms with a lot of, different things to